Welcome back. So if things look a little funny, it's because I just did the second part of this video and for some reason it just disappeared, so I'm doing it again. I tried to delete everything, if you could imagine, right? I write it all and then I come back. One way to say where we're at is looking at this image here. We started off by creating all our containers or our divs and we're filling them in. I'm not even thinking about CSS. I'm done with the top. I'm going to do the left, I'm going to do the nav bar, I'm going to do the main. Footer's already done. So in about 10 minutes I should be able to do this. I'm going to go fast because I have to. So notice this left div is the most difficult. It has a table, has a form, and it has an add. And it also has some H2s in it. So I'm going to begin by writing an H2. And it's just box office. Alright, that's the heading which resides over the table. This table is going to have an ID and it's going to be box office. Not original, but it works. Alright, a table, it's a 3x3 table, so it has 3 columns and 3 rows. Table row is tr tag. I open it and I close it. Inside of that row I'm going to have a td, an opening and closing, which is some table data, and I'm going to do a 1. It's a weird layout. You'll see where I'm going in a minute here. Then another piece of table data, which denotes a column. Then a fictional film like Rocky 9. Then another piece of table data. So notice 3 pieces of table data equals 3 columns. Just some amount of money, like $102 million. Right? That's kind of ugly to write, but really this is where a good place to duplicate. So Control D, and then also I'll do Rocky, Rambo, and Twilight, and give them different numbers like 87 and 40. I don't know, 14. That's a table, right? It's got 3 rows and it's got 3 columns. Really easy to make mistakes. One of the few times where I think that copying or duplicating is pretty okay. So below that table there's another heading 2. And this one is going to say, like, find showtimes. I think that's what it says. It does. And this is a form right here, right? It's kind of a complicated form, particularly when contrasted with that. So I'm going to form. It's going to need an ID because I'm going to be styling it. I'm going to call it showtimes. It needs an action, which is going to be nothing. And it needs a method, and since I did get earlier, I'll do get, close my form. So I say the form's kind of complicated. It's because it has several inputs, and one of them is a drop-down list. In other words, it's an option select. So I say select, and select needs a name. I'll say movies. This is going to be a list of names of movies. I'm going to close that select. So select is full of options, right? So it's container tag. Here's an option tag, and these need to close. You can't just do that. An option also has to have a value. This is something that happens behind the scenes, so you don't need to make this particularly print friendly or viewer friendly. I'm going to do Rocky 9. So I'm just going to do Rocky 9, lowercase, no spaces. The part that the user sees is the part between the option tags. So this part, right? So that needs to be pretty. This doesn't. Good time to duplicate. Rambo and Twilight. I don't know how to spell Twilight, by the way. Kind of hope I spelled it wrong and made me feel a little better about myself. Right, so this does have, I mean, these can't be the same, but right, they're ugly. That's okay. This is the part the user sees. That's a drop-down menu right there, right? That's an option select. And I'm also going to put a break right after it. Just because I see that that's on one line, the next is on another. So the next says choose a date. So I'm going to say input, and for type, I'm going to do just text. Right? I could do date, and that would work in some browsers, but not all, so I don't want to deal with that. ID equals date. I also need a placeholder in here in lieu of a label, so placeholder, I'll say enter a date. Because that can be some grayed out text that's going to go away as soon as the user enters something. Right, I did just text. I'm trying to make it easy. I'm going to do another line break just to make sure. I was thinking about duplicating. I'm not going to. Input type equals, we'll go text again. And this, so where am I? I've got the date. Now I need a zip code. So ID is going to be zip. I am going to style this element, so it certainly needs an ID. And it needs a placeholder as well. And we'll say something helpful like zip code. Notice it's short, so I couldn't really put much text in there. It's just zip code. And also notice that the button is on the same line, so that's shorter, so no line break for sure. Input type equals submit. Right? I always think that's kind of unintuitive, and the value is what's going to show up on the button. Yeah, that's not good. And so I'll say search. It's hard to see, but it does say search. All right, and then below our form, which is now complete, let me give myself some room here. No room. I'll do an image. That image is going to be the add. All right, so the image src attribute, you got to know what it's called. It's called advertisement.jpg. It's got to have an alt, otherwise it won't pass validation. I'll call it add, and I know that I'm going to style it, so I got to make sure to give it a value like add. So at this point, I'm done with the left. I've got my form here, I've got my table here, and I've got my add there. All right, on to the middle. All right, so the first thing that stands out here is I've got a navigation bar. So the middle, I'm saying it's inside the main. So I'm going to use a nav tag, indicating that there's a navigation bar here. So a navigation bar is just an unordered list, and that unordered list is full of list items, and each one of those list items has a link in it, and that link goes nowhere. I don't remember what they're supposed to say, so I'm going to have to check it out. Those links are supposed to say movies, TV, discuss, register. Movies, duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. TV, discuss, register. That is a navigation bar. Sure, without styling it looks ridiculous, but I'm not looking at it, so okay. Below that navigation bar is an H1. And this is going to be something like piranhas on an escalator. Piranhas. If you saw me this morning, I had a hard time spelling piranhas, but now that I've done it 20 times today, I'm getting better. So now looking at this little bit of layout here, I've got an image. This image is clearly floated, so I'm going to put that image down before I do the text. So img src, so the source of that image is called trailer.jpg. The alt text is going to be trailer image, and I certainly need to give it an ID as well because I know I'm going to be styling it. And now I just got to put some text in there. That text is going to be contained within a paragraph tag, so I can address it if I need to. So I went to Google, I did a quick search. I told you I just did this. Everything's still open. Right, so there's my just random text wrapped within paragraph tags. So to look at how that main div looks, because we're looking okay on time, here's my main div. Inside of it I've got a nav bar. Below the nav bar I've got an H1. Then I've got an image and some text. The footer is just happily sitting down there on its own. To recap the left div, which just runs from there to there, I've got an H2, I've got a table, an H2, a form, and then just an image. My next video, I'm going to start by validating this, so we'll see how many mistakes I made. Who knows? So hopefully I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.